Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am a Jen who reads, and this is my November reading wrap-up. Hello. So before we get into what I read in November, I wanted to talk to you about some bookish news that happened in November. So let's start with Shadow and Bone. Unfortunately, after season 2, it was canceled on Netflix. Personally, I am not sad about this decision. I thought that the series was very confusing for those who have never read the book. However, I am sad that that also means that the Six of Crows spinoff is also going to be canceled. Another thing that happened was, of course, the release of Iron Flame. I went to the midnight release party. It was a little disappointing, unfortunately, but I did play some games. I did leave with some cool swag, and I will give you my review for the Iron Flame here just in a little bit. Another thing that I thought was interesting was that GOODREADS came out with their list of nominees for the top books in each category for the year. And there were some disappointments. I was really sad to see that there was no middle grade or children's category, but I was excited to see that they added a category, which was the romantasy. And as somebody who reads a lot, who follows BOOKTOK and BOOKTUBE really closely, most of the books that were nominated I never even heard of. And I've heard the same thing from quite a few people on BOOKTOK and BOOKTUBE. So I'm excited and a little curious to see what is going to come out on top. Before we get into what I read in November, I just want to ask you to leave a emoji in the comments. We need to make friends with the algorithm here on good old YouTube. So let's see. November was Thanksgiving, and I'm sure that we all ate a lot of really good food. So it would mean a lot to me, and it would help me out if you could leave any kind of food emoji in the comments. In the month of November, I read a total of 7 books. 2 of those were on audio. I read Carrie by Stephen King, and I rated it, what did I rate it? 3 stars. It was okay. I pretty much knew what it was about. I pretty much knew what to expect. I did know that Carrie was bullied, and that's what pushed her over the edge. I did not realize to the extent of which she was bullied. And honestly, most of the time that I was listening to this book, I was just really sad for Carrie. The other book that I listened to on audio also got 3 stars, and that's Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. So this is a story about 2 authors. One of them is white, one of them is Asian, and unfortunately the Asian author passes away, and the white author finds her manuscript and takes it and reworks it and passes it off as her own. There was a lot that I was feeling during this audiobook. At first, I was sort of like, okay, maybe she's going to get away with it. And then when it came to the point where she might not get away with it, I was really nervous for her. Even though I felt like she deserved to be caught, the way that this book was written really made me feel all the emotions that this main character was feeling. Overall, I thought it was a good book. It just was not my normal kind of read, I guess. It's not my normal genre. And so while it was good, there wasn't anything that was too exciting about it. It was just interesting. So I did end up giving it 3 stars. I also read the new Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods book. So I did give this 5 stars. My only critique was that it was really short. So I was shocked. I was surprised, I guess not really shocked, when I found out that we were going to get another Percy Jackson book. And this follows Percy Jackson in his senior year of high school. He wants to go to the New Rome College with Annabeth next year. But unfortunately, he has to have 3 letters of recommendations from 3 different gods, which means he has to do 3 different quests for these gods. So my only downside was that it was short, and I just, really enjoy Percy Jackson. So it got over really, really quick. But the story was amazing. It was a lot more lighthearted. So the stakes were a lot lower than a lot of the Percy Jackson books. And so that was kind of fun also. And the way that it ended leaves room for at least 2 more books in the series. So I'm really excited about that. My next read was Iron Flame, and I did rate this originally 5 stars because when I was finished reading it, I just went right on to Goodreads and StoryGraph and just immediately rated it 5 stars because I was blown away. But now that I've had some time to sort of chew over it and think about it a little bit, I think that my final rating for this is going to be 4 stars. It was really good. There is a lot of world building, a lot of geography, a lot of politics. I had to reference the map in here a whole lot. And this took me almost 2 weeks to read, and I felt like I was reading this almost constantly. And I thought, this is like weird. I'm in some sort of like time suck vortex thing where I'm just reading and reading and reading, and I'm still not done with this book. But then I found out that the word count for Iron Flame is bigger than the word count for Crescent City, and Crescent City is like 200 more pages. So that's to say that this book is dense. There are a lot of words on each page, and I think that that's why it took me so long to get through it. I also had to read it at a slower pace just because of all of the important information that we were getting, all of the history. Some things I had to go back and reread a few times, and so I think that that also contributed to the length of time that it took me to read it. It was really good. I liked it. There is a trope that I really don't like, and that is the miscommunication trope. And in this book, there is a version of the miscommunication trope, and it's basically where one character is purposely withholding information from another character, even though that information being withheld puts this other character in danger. And 2 of the things that this character was withholding, I really didn't understand the reasoning behind it. I just thought it was kind of a jerk move. The ending was really exciting. It makes me really want to read the 3rd book. I can't wait till the 3rd book comes out. Of course, my favorite part of this was the dragons. One particular dragon goes through a lot of change, and it's exciting, and it did make me shed a few tears. They weren't all sad tears, though. I was very proud of one of the dragons in here. So I do give this a solid 4 stars. The next book that I read was In an Absent Dream. This is the 4th book in the Wayward Children series. And this is my least favorite book so far in the series. So I did give it a 4. But the series, you know, as a whole is still a 5-star series for me. The other books that come before this were just very vibrant and colorful. And the world in this book, unfortunately, is very muted. I pictured it with like, you know, a lot of neutral colors, browns and grays. But the concept behind this world, which is the goblin market, is very, very interesting. So here, you know, on Earth, in our reality, we have money and we pay for things. And a lot of the times we pay for things and it's not really a fair value. We may pay more for something than it's worth, and people may charge more for something than their product or their service is worth. But in the goblin market, there is no money. The goblin market itself kind of determines what is fair. So people barter for goods and services with services, and they barter with other, you know, materials that aren't money. And if they do not provide fair value, if they price gouge or something of the equivalent, then the goblin market will make them pay. And the way that it does that is that it slowly turns them into a bird. So they may have like long fingers, or they may start to grow feathers. And that's how they know that they have not charged or gotten fair value for something. So In an Absent Dream is the number 4 book in the Wayward Children series. And while I did really, really like it, it is a 4-star for me. I also finished Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, which is the 2nd book in the Crowns of the Nyaxia series. This wraps up the love story, or basically the story of Rain and Uriah, and I thought that it wrapped it up wonderfully. I loved the development of their relationship from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. And even though it's pretty thick, I flew right through this book. It held my attention the entire time. I did rate it a 5-star just because compared to the first book, I did like the first book better. So there are going to be more books in this series, but they're going to focus on other houses in the world. So this is pretty much the last book that's going to focus on Rain and Uriah. I imagine they will come up in other books, but they will not be the main featured characters. I love having this book on my shelf. I think it's beautiful, for one thing. And I just definitely recommend this book. People who have a hangover from any Sarah J. Maas books or any of the Rebecca Yarros Dragon books, I feel like this is the perfect cure for needing something that's similar, needing to read about similar characters and similar relationships. So this is my cure for the Sarah J. Maas Rebecca Yarros hangover. And the last book that I read is going to be an unpopular opinion. In fact, I hated this book so much that I don't even have it anymore. I've already gotten rid of it. And it took me like 3 months to read. So I read Babel by R.F. Kuang, and I did not like it at all. It took me so long to read. I read most of it in, I think, September, and then I had about 150 pages to go, and I kind of let it go. I stopped. I read a little bit more in October, and then I finished it up in November. And to be honest with you, I didn't really finish it. I think I still had like 50 pages to go, and I just DNF'd it, but I still counted it as towards one of my reads because I did read most of it, and it was a pretty big book. And then I just got online and kind of read the summary of what happened and what I missed, and I felt like I didn't miss a whole lot. I really like the concept, but I just did not think that the delivery was entertaining. I did not think that it held my attention, and I was just sort of like, what am I reading most of the time? Don't let that discourage you from reading it, though, because I don't know very many people who feel the way about it that I do. Most people have nothing but amazing things to say about this book. But because it did keep my attention for the most part for most of the book, even though it wasn't blowing me away, I did end up giving it 2 stars. So that is it for my November reading wrap up. Here is my finished bingo card. So I did go ahead and get a bingo. So I guess I accomplished that. So yay. I would appreciate all of your follows, your likes, your comments, your food emoji comments would mean a lot to me. And in the description below is all of my links to all of my social media. And I will see you next time.